Hello everybody and welcome to another Arkham Horror video with me and Eric. Yes, it has been some time, but Eric and I are back together recording another video for your entertainment. I want to say, first off, huge thank you for your support in the previous video with Eric about 5 new investigators that they want to play, and your comments, your likes, your views on that video were incredible. So I'm doing what we said we were going to do, and the comments wanted us to do as well, which is Eric is going to evaluate Arkham cards that they know nothing nothing about. As I said in the previous video, Eric, you have played some Arkham. You've played twice the card game, 2 times.
Years ago.
Yeah, one time recently. We played in this room, but it was like it did not go well. I was playing a bad deck to be a teammate. I let you down. But Eric is already in their 5 investigators that they wanted to play. I think nailed it, at least in terms of the scope and the idea of the investigators.
And your favorite character.
Well, none of my favorite characters. But we're going to go today, and I have a bunch of cards. We have 2 videos of this. I have 2 batches of cards that we're going to do. And you just give me your thoughts generally on how, if you think the card is like, generally we're going to try to go from like playable, not playable, or like potentially busted. That's like the scale we're looking at. Okay. I will say generally, most of the cards in Arkham are playable. Okay. However, I'm not going to say that I chose only playable cards for this. And this is also like only my own thoughts and like the general consensus on the cards. And feel free to ask me any questions that you might have, because I'll give you like kind of like general information regarding like what stuff means and all that. But it should be fun.
Speaking of which, first card.
The action card.
Busted.
Yeah. All right, so let's dive in with our first one we got here, which is Knife. This is a neutral asset. So there's 3 types of cards: assets, skills, and events. All right? So this is a 1-cost asset. The symbols on the left are what you can commit it to a test. So it boosts the value of a test for that if you commit it. Committing it makes the card go away. You can see in the bottom right, it takes up the hand slot. Where you have 2 hand slots normally because you have 2 hands. And that action arrow is an action, which means it requires an action to do, and you have up to 3 actions on your turn.
Oh.
So it's an item, a weapon, a melee for its traits. Action, fight. You get +1 fist for this attack. Action, discard knife. Fight. You get +2 fist for this attack, and this attack deals +1 damage. So unlike magic, where the discard reads like normally you discard from your hand.
Yeah.
With Knife, you have to discard it from your play area to get that bottom effect. So it already needs to be in play for you to be able to discard it. So Knife is an asset that you put into play. You can attack with it at +1 attack, and you can also discard it into your discard pile to get +2 fist and deal +1 damage.
You like leave it in the thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like you just stick it in so hard that it hurts it.
Now, discarded cards, how quickly do I get them back generally?
So it depends on your character, and also there are some classes that can recur from the discard pile.
Okay.
And notably, this is a neutral, so this is like can play in every investigator. Yeah.
I'm going to say for $1, this is playable.
It's playable?
I would play this.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would run this.
So,
if you gave me this card in a vacuum like you have, I would play this card.
So this card is generally not playable.
What?
Yeah, the rate on this card is just a bit too low.
Oh, okay.
And the reason for that is because it doesn't deal extra damage, right?
Oh, unless you do the discard.
Exactly, and then you lose your weapon. So now if another monster shows up, you're kind of in a pickle. Another thing for this is that enemies, they have this thing that we call the Asphalov hump. Because remember in Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
There's like locations with, you have to like put progress on them.
Yeah.
And there was a card, Asphalov, that was a horse that you can put on Glorfindel that puts 2 progress on a location.
We love Glorfindel.
Yeah, so generally what they did then is they started doing 3 progress to get through a location, so you couldn't just Asphalov them away. Generally, enemies will have 2 for a basic level and 3 health for that bump where you need to do a bit more. So losing the knife is not great. However, to your point, there are investigators where this is playable.
Okay.
Like normally the ones that can recur it from the discard pile can, like, it's really only 1 investigator that can do that, but there is a home for it.
This is like my whole 3 points looks like a good set of power, and then apparently this is just not it.
Yeah, so with your weapons especially, you want to make sure your damage is consistent.
Okay, okay.
And like you're looking for +1 damage consistently.
We also just, like, this is not a character on the card, right? Like, this is not a playable character.
That's just a guy.
Yeah, that's
just a guy with a knife.
not playable.
No. All right, we had another weapon, actually.
Okay.
So this one is Kukri. So these cards were all actually given to me by patrons. I threw a few of my own in there, but patrons suggested they wanted to know your opinion on these cards.
Okay.
So patron, 2 cost, takes up a hand slot, action, fight. You get +1 fist for this attack. If you succeed, you may spend 1 additional action to deal +1 damage for this attack.
I feel like I'm being tricked. This is not playable.
That's your. Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Because for one, $2 for what is effectively the same effect as knife.
Yeah.
But if you succeed, you can spend 1 additional action to deal +1 damage on this attack, but it only deals 1 damage base. Makes me think that I'm spending 2 actions to deal 2 damage, which is going to clear one of those basic monsters. But it's not going to be great against a big monster.
You'd be right. This is less playable than knife.
Okay.
Kukri doesn't have a home. Kukri doesn't have a home at all.
Unless you have a character, are there any characters who can increase the number of additional actions they can take on a card?
Yes, they could take, like, there's the rogue class, the green class are all about getting extra actions. However, even then, it's still just better to run a weapon that innately deals more damage.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right?
That's fair.
All right, so we have another weapon coming up. We're on the weapon today. We're keeping this all consistent. So this is Switchblade. This is a level 1 rogue weapon. So this is the rogue class. Takes up a hand slot. It's item, weapon, melee, illicit. It's fast, which means it does not cost an action to put into play.
Ooh.
And then as an action, you can fight. If you succeed by 2 or more, this attack deals +1 damage.
That's good. This is a good card.
It's playable?
This is a 1-point card that doesn't cost an action to play, and if you win big, you do more damage. I think it's playable.
So this one is not playable.
But it's fast!
So the reason is it's kind of a not playable for a reason that you're actually, I think you're nailing why it should be playable. But that's because it's in a class where the succeeding by 2 without a damage boost is
unlikely.
Tough. It's unlikely, right? There's one rogue investigator. His name is Tony Morgan. He has 5 fist. He can use this Switchblade somewhat effectively, but even then, if you're fighting an enemy with 4 attack, it's going to be hard to consistently deal that extra damage you're looking for.
This is why I should know how the fight mechanic works.
No, I think I think, like, once again, I think, like, you're nailing the the concept for it, right? You're nailing the concept for it, and, like, really, you're like, I'm giving you like you're a 1.5 out of 3 so far, so you have a passing grade. Because you were right on knife, you were 100% right on Kukri. All right, let's go to the next one, because this is going good. Switchblade level 2. So notably, you can see that there's 2 pips underneath the 1. That's how much experience you need to buy the card.
Yeah.
Investigators can only buy cards within their card pool, and not all investigators can get level 2 rogue cards.
This is definitely playable.
Yeah, and why do you think that is?
Well, for one, it gets the +2 damage to the attack, so that solves the problem you were telling me about,
the +2 fist,
about it not getting over that hump.
Yeah.
It's got the shoe symbol.
Yeah.
It gained a symbol.
Yeah.
That's important to me.
Yeah.
And it's still good.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that's exactly it. It has now the +2 that you need to succeed by given to you. Right?
And something about evasion, is that what that means?
So that means you can just commit it to a foot test. So, like, you don't, it doesn't passively give you 1 foot. You can just use it, you can commit it from your hand if you already have another one in play to increase your foot for an evasion test.
That seems good to me.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you have 2 and you already have, like, your Switchblade and another weapon in play, you can just use the other one to commit to a test. More symbols is never a bad thing.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, no, that's 100%. This one is definitely playable.
Who's that, Tony Morgan? Tony Morgan wants this.
Tony Morgan is great with Switchblade.
Wants this level 2 Switchblade.
Yeah. All right. This one's a little bit interesting. So we're on our first event. So events are one and done. They don't stay in play. So Mano a Mano. This is a 0 cost, 1 experience Guardian card. Play only as your first action. Deal 1 damage to an enemy engaged with you. This action does not provoke attacks of opportunity.
I'm going to say this is not playable.
That is, I would say, more correct than it is incorrect.
Yeah.
Once again, like, Arkham is a little bit strange, right? Where, like, most cards in general have a home, right? But this one trends to being not playable. There are places where it's run, there's an investigator. His name is Nathaniel Cho, where every deals damage during an event. One time a turn, he can deal an additional damage.
Oh, that would be
so
solid.
that's really nice with Nathaniel Cho. But generally, yeah, this card's not playable.
The only thing I really like about it is that I feel like it fixes some symbols in my hand while also giving me an action that maybe I could take.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm going to find cards that are better than that.
Yeah, and generally, experience is better. You can do better with your experience. Testless damage is very good in this game. Anything you can do something without taking a test is very good. But this has a lot of hoops you need to jump through. Only your first action. You need to have drawn an enemy. The enemy needs to be engaged with you. So if someone else drew it, you can't engage it, then deal the damage. Right? There's a lot. Yeah. Okay. Next one we got here is Evidence. So this is a 1-cost, level 0 Guardian event. It's fast, so play after you defeat an enemy, discover a clue your location. With the flavor text just as I suspected.
Well, okay, so Guardians look like FBI agents, which is going to make me think that they sometimes do fighting.
Yeah, so the Guardian class they're like the major fighting class. Like that's their big identity, defeating enemies.
We like that. Now I'm going to say this is a good card. I'm going to say this is a good card because it's fast, so it doesn't cost anything to play after you defeat an enemy. If you're the fighty class, you want to be defeating enemies. And this is going to help you discover a clue without having to take an action. And it's got 2 books, which I imagine is a good fixer.
Yeah, no, that's all correct. That's correct.
And then it's like, this is unplayable.
No, it's playable, yeah.
My goodness.
I'm going to be playing this in the deck that we're building today. I'm putting this in my deck for sure.
I love it.
Because it's just a good card. It's
that's
not great, but it's just good.
Do you think that's hair or straw?
I think that is hair.
Okay.
That is hair of a dark young. Because they are known for their luscious blonde locks.
Their luscious blonde locks, the dark young.
Yeah. All right. We got Relentless. So this is a 0-cost asset in the Guardian class. As a reaction, when you deal excess damage to an enemy, you place that excess damage on Relentless. Then it's a lightning bolt, so that lightning bolt you can do it like whenever there's a lightning bolt window where they're all over the place. You get to discard Relentless and gain resources equal to the amount of damage on it. So resources are how you pay for cards.
This is playable. I might build a deck that does nothing but big damage and then run this and then use it to burn to just suddenly gain resources back because I'm taking no actions to gain resources. I would play this, but I wouldn't play it in everything.
So this card is notoriously bad. It's like, but I will say that your dream of like getting resources on this, everyone's done it. Like everyone has been like, I could do this with Relentless, but in practice, it just does not do it.
It does not do anything. No. Okay.
Even like there's a card where you can deal like upwards of like 5 extra damage, and people play it in Relentless. But by the time you've dealt that damage, you've played your cards. You don't need the resources anymore. That's like where the problem really comes in with this card.
I love it.
But yeah, this one's a nice one because a lot of people, it is very strange because like it reads fine, but it's not in practice.
The mono black player in me looks at this and goes, "There's a way I can gain more resources from doing something else. Yes, please."
Yeah, I agree, and it's a little bit strange because it's. I think like it would be better if it was like I don't even know how to fix Relentless.
Maybe if they sewed up the side,
thing, yeah,
it's dumping out sand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, we got Guard Dog. So this is an ally. So you only have 1 ally slot. This is a 3-cost ally creature, soaks for 3 meat damage and 1 horror damage. As a reaction, when an enemy attack deals damage to Guard Dog, you deal 1 damage to the attacking enemy. When you are dealt damage, if it's not direct, you can put it on any asset of yours that soaks damage or horror.
But it's only got 3 life.
3 life.
I'm going to say that this is playable. I'm going to say this is playable only because it's got that free damage. I think $3 for 3 meat isn't enough. I don't like that. But I do like the fact that I'm looking at this and going, this is potentially up to 3 free damage. If not, it's 1 free damage. Like, it's 1, 2, or 3 free damage. Yeah,
card is definitely playable. It's a good card. 3 damage for 3 soak is pretty on par with the game, I would say, especially because the soak actually also comes with an additional benefit, right? It does take up the ally slot. Allies are very competitive, but Guard Dog has a great home in a lot of decks. Cards very playable.
Is the benefit that afterwards, after the dog dies, we get to
eat it?
Eat the dog?
Yes.
I like that.
Yes, we do. Yes. There's also a lot of cards that like heal allies and ready allies.
Okay. If that's a thing we can do, then that's good.
Yeah. All right. We got Magnifying Glass. So this is a Seeker card. This is a 1-cost, fast asset. Takes up the hand slot, and you get just +1 book while investigating.
I'm gonna say that's good. I'm gonna say it's not fancy, it's not fun, but I'm gonna say it's good. I'm gonna say there's probably lots of characters out there who are like, yeah, sure, I'll run it.
Yeah, so this card is the closest one we have to borderline busted. But it is, no, but the thing is, that's only, like, even for me, personally, a recent revelation.
Oh, okay.
Because I played Magnifying Glass a lot. There are better things you can do with your hand slots, right? Generally, like, there's more, like, broken things you can do. But the rate that this gives you what you need to do is, like, really good.
Yeah.
Because we always talk about, like, if there was, like... Because Seekers generally don't care about their hand slots outside of a few of them, right? It was, like, if... And, like, Guardians don't care too much about, like, say, their accessory slot. And if there was, like, a Guardian card that was 1 resource fast and you get +1 fist while fighting in the accessory slot, we would run it all the time. Because that card is insane. And this card is now, in my own recent discoveries as I play and learn more, to me is a card that's borderline busted.
So if I carried a Kukri and this Magnifying Glass, that would pretty much even out.
Yes, you would be the weirdest Seeker we've ever seen. You could do that with Joe Diamond, though. That could be a wild time. But, yeah, I think this card generally is the good is, I think, a fair reading.
Yeah, I think it's good. I just don't think it's fun.
Yeah, I know it is fun because you just get to win. And
Yeah,
I love winning. I love winning, Eric. All right.
What is that? Timmy and Spike?
Yeah, Johnny. You've always been a Johnny.
Yeah.
And I'm a Spike. I'm a Spike with a hint of Timmy because I also like doing stupid shit that's like big and fancy. But
I mean,
yeah. All right, we got burglary. So this is
a crime, Justin.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's illicit. It is, yeah.
Whoa.
So this is a 1-cost rogue asset. As an action, you can exhaust burglary and investigate. If you succeed, instead of discovering clues, you gain 3 resources.
I'm going to say this is good. I'm going to say this is a good card. I would run this. I would run this because I feel like this could bust the game economy, because if you investigate in an area that doesn't have clues, you could use it to just gain 3 resources. If there are no clues to pick up and you're not in a position where you won't want to go forward and grab another clue. So I would run this. I've
actually played this very recently, but this card to me is not playable. Just because the rate is just, it's like, a big thing is that outside of the vacuum that I'm currently trapping you in to evaluate these cards, Rogue has a lot of resource economy that's just a better rate than this.
Okay.
Because this is 2 actions and a test for 3 resources. When you compare, like, the idea of just a card that gets 3 resources, it becomes a lot, like, you don't want to, like, I think the best way of looking at it from, like, a new player perspective is, unless the rate is really good, you don't want to test for your economy, right? You don't want to make it a test for your economy. You rather your economy just get there now. Like, alternative, like, the big one, the high played card in green economy right now is one called Faustian Bargain, with the red glove man in the art, by the way.
I didn't wear my red gloves, but I thought about it.
Yeah, you have the jacket.
I did. I brought the suit.
But, and that is, you get 5 resources, 0 cost. You just have to put 2 curse tokens in the bag. And curse tokens, they're way above your pay grade right now. Don't worry about them.
Okay.
But, like, that's just an example of, like, good economy, right? Like, don't have to do a test. You just get 5 up front right now.
Okay, so what I'm understanding is that this game then is very complex. So, like, sometimes +1s are big deals, sometimes +3 is nothing.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah, no, it is. And it's like one of those things where, like, every time you're using your burglary action, like, big money decks can want it, right? Big money decks can want burglary to do it. But generally, spending 2 actions for 3 resources is not a good rate. Yeah. Especially when one of those actions requires a test.
Yeah,
that doesn't,
fair.
yeah, but... All right, we got Old Keyring. So this is a 1-cost Survivor card. So notably, Survivor is the class that Eric is going to be building a deck for today, which is the Stella deck from the previous video. But it takes up a hand slot, uses 2 keys. If there are no keys on Old Keyring, you discard it. As an action, you can investigate. Your location gets -2 Shroud for this investigation, and if you succeed, you remove 1 key from Old Keyring. This is a strange one.
Okay, so it starts with 2 keys on it.
Yes.
And then I get...
You can use it and you get -2 Shroud. So Shroud is the value that you test against on an investigate on a location.
I would run this.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I would run this.
Hell yeah. Card's great.
I like this card.
Yeah, card is good. In some decks, this card is, in my opinion, borderline busted. So it's a little bit. So this is something that's like not knowable to new players. But there's a huge interaction that this old keyring has that you're going to be looking to use with your Stella deck. Where if you reduce a test value to 0, you pass on any token except for the auto fail, because when you can your skill value can go below 0 during a test. But during resolution, it goes back to 0. So if a test is reduced to 0 difficulty, you'll pass on all but 1 token in the cup. And that's really important because it opens up a lot of synergy for other cards in the class, but also it means that survivors who don't really have great stat lines can make things work.
Can just do things.
And the nice thing as well is that you only spend a key if you pass. So if you fail, you actually get to keep the keys. So this is like just basically 2 guaranteed keys.
That's
like clues.
wild.
Yeah.
For a moment I was confused because it was like I didn't read uses 2 keys.
Yeah.
I read use 2 keys. And I was like, there's no... Am I supposed to count the number of keys on this picture? Yeah,
there are 5.
There are 5. And I was like, so when I put it down, it just automatically burns 2 of its 5 keys? Okay.
There's a neutral card called Flashlight that is a 3-use, get -2 Shroud. Also very playable. Like, that's another great neutral card that actually is still put in a lot of decks today.
Yeah, that
a lot more successful than Knife as the neutral ones, but still. And then there's also a card in Survivor called Scavenging, where if you succeed by 2, you get to put an item card from your discard pile back into your hand.
I'm feeling big Dead by Daylight flashbacks right
definitely,
now.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a great card. Very good.
Okay.
Okay, this one's a little bit interesting. So now we're in the Mystic class. This is the Spell Slingers. So this is a 1-cost ally, Arcane Initiate. Soaks for 1 and 2, so 1 meat, 2 brain. Forced, after it enters play, place 1 Doom on it. So Doom is how the game advances against you. And then as a lightning bolt, you can exhaust Arcane Initiate, search the top 3 cards of your deck for a spell card, and draw it, shuffle your deck. And Lightning Bolt is, again, it opens up like at many windows throughout the turn.
This is a good card.
Why do you think that?
Well, the Doom is there to punish because of how good of a card it is. Because being able to just search your deck for what you need as a spellcaster and pull it, I think is really strong. Yeah. And the fact that it's only exhaust, it's not discard, makes it feel very strong as well.
Yeah, and you can't trick Eric. You know, Eric sees search for a card. Eric knows that's good in every game. Every card game, more cards is good.
Yeah. Every card game, look in your tutor something from your library is just like... Mono Black says yes.
So there's a lot of tricks that you can also use for Arcane Initiate and also just general Doom, because I'm saying all this for obviously people at home who might be new players looking at cards.
Not me, I know all about it.
Also for Eric. But there's a lot of tricks you can do with Arcane Initiate. One of them is there's a turn before, like, if the agenda is going to advance next turn, you can put Doom on things and there will be no penalty, right? So you can like drop this the turn before the agenda would advance, and then the Doom is just sucked up when the agenda advances. So then there's no downside. Alternatively, you could just fucking kill her. You can get like 4 spells out of her and then just have her die, right? Like just have her soak for you. So like it's a great card. Arcane Initiate is from the core set and still played heavily today.
I believe it.
Yeah. All right, First Aid.
That's a picture. I love that picture.
2-cost, Talent Science. This is a Guardian asset. Uses 3 supplies. If it has no supplies on it, we discard it. As an action, spend a supply, heal 1 damage or horror from an investigator at your location.
I'm gonna say, so my angle is playable, but I'm gonna say not playable.
Yeah. Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Because I'm going to guess that only healing 1 for someone at your location is too many restrictions for this card to be useful for an action.
That's 100% right. That's 100% right.
Getting it.
We call this also not losing. And not losing is not winning, right? Like, that's the philosophy that we share in our videos. Because we consider this actually to be like a trap card. Because healing seems great. But alternatively, just play something that soaks damage for you that furthers your game. Like, if you compare this to Guard Dog essentially heals you 3 damage and 1 horror just for the cost of one more resource, while also damaging out enemies back, right? Like if you look at the comparison there.
TTRPG players, take note. Healing is always a trap.
Yeah, always. Yeah. Well, maybe not in those games, but in Arkham.
Always.
There is good healing, though. There is now good healing in the game. There's also an upgraded version of First Aid Kit that heals damage and a horror from an investigator or ally.
Ooh,
and that's more playable in certain decks. But you're right. It's not worth the time. It's not worth the time for only one. All right, this one's a little bit strange.
Let me put it this way. If that card counters knife, but only counters knife, I feel like it's a bad card.
That's a good way to look at it. I've never looked like that, but I support that thing, and I think that's great. I think that's awesome. All right, Guts. So here's our skill. So skills are only existing to be committed to tests. Okay. And there's 4 skills in the game. Book, which you use most often to investigate. Fist, which you use most often to fight. Foot, which you use to evade, and also for defensive tests. And then Brain, which is used for defensive tests and mystic cards. I know everyone who hates that we don't refer to them by our official name is so mad at me for teaching a new player the wrong terminology for the cards, but there always will be Brain, Fist, Book, and Foot to me. So this one just gives you 2 Brain, only 1 per skill test, and if it's successful, you draw a card.
I'm going to say that this card should be good, if not busted, but I'm going to actually call it unplayable, and here's my argument why. Because it has 2 brains on it, which means you're committing this to brain things, but the picture shows a guy with a gun pushing someone out of the way. You can't read a book with a gun. No, I think this is a good card. I think you would definitely run this. The fact that it's max 1 per test tells me it's big. It's card draw, and it's 2 brains, so I feel like whoever's running this really wants this.
Yeah, that's 100% right. There's 5 of these skills. There's 1 for each of the skills, and they all replace themselves if it's successful. And then there's one called Unexpected Courage, which is just 2 wild icons, but it doesn't replace itself. So it can be used in any test, but it doesn't replace itself to balance out the power.
Nice.
But yeah, if you want these cards, like I'll generally run the book one or the fist one if I'm a goon or a clue getter, right? Like they're great and they're just good cards. Yeah. But you are right. It doesn't feel like he has the guts because he's gonna go fight the Shuggoth or whatever it is in the background. But you know.
But what if that's not a Shuggoth? What if that's just some bad lighting and
just a big plate of spaghetti?
He's just pushing that woman out of the way to be like, I'm gonna go read those books.
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, I think this might be the last one. This might be the last one for this video, but this is Shortcut. So this is a 0-cost Seeker event. It's fast, so you can only play. It's fast, you can play it anytime. You can only play it during your turn. No action. Choose an investigator location. Move that investigator to a connecting location.
This is really good because it has the red gloved man in it. I think that's the red gloved man.
It might be actually.
Yeah.
I can't tell if it's gloves or just like dark hands, but
who knows?
Who knows?
I'm gonna say it's good. It's got 2 icons on it. It's fast and it moves an investigator and then moves that investigator to a connecting location. So I feel like this is a card that you want to play because it's going to give basically 2 free movement to someone who's really out of alignment.
It only gives 1 free movement. So you just choose an investigator, then move that investigator to a connecting location.
Oh, I thought it was take an investigator from anywhere and move it to your location, then move them 1 more.
No, you choose an investigator location. So it could be you, it could be another investigator at your location.
Oh, that's still good.
Yeah, it's still good.
Yeah,
card's good.
Yeah. No, I thought I just teleported someone to you and then moved
that
them.
would be sick though.
I was like, this is insane.
Yeah, basically, like, while there are decks where you won't really want this effect as much, free movement, the worst action you can take in this game generally is a move action. So the more you can compress your movement, the better. This might come up in the next video, so Eric, remember what I said there.
I also like this card because I imagine it has weird interactions with things like you are engaged or you're trapped in an area where this card just overwrites it and is like, nah, you're gone.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Well, the enemies will come with you, unless they're massive, in which case they stay. But it's what's commonly used, for example, like say you're at a location and another teammate is over here and your goon is with you. You could move your goon to that location, so the goon now has 3 actions to fight.
That's solid.
But also, because it's fast, it does not provoke attacks of opportunities from enemies, which means that you could then move and not get hit by enemies that are engaged with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know what that means.
I think, you know what? I think you did great.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, the first few, you didn't really, like, the game was like, you're like, what is a knife? What is a kukri? I could kill someone with a knife, so I think this is good. But I think overall, though, you nailed it for a new player. Yeah. And yeah, I hope that everyone who watched this enjoyed it, because we have another one coming up in a few weeks. And I think Eric's going to do... It is more advanced cards for the next one. Those were all, like, generally pretty basic. So we're going to get into some more complicated ones in the next one.
I'm ready.
But I believe. And this is all good because, as I said, Eric's going to be building a deck today. So this is all just... This is also me, like, doing a crash course teaching for the general tempo of Arkham Horror, the card game. But thanks so much for watching. Have a good one. And as always, a GG's.